Hi everyone, it's Nui and I am here today to talk about emotional responsibility and cultivating awareness, peace and harmony through the phases of your menstrual cycle. So first of all, let's just talk about emotional responsibility, what that is and what that means. So emotional responsibility is taking responsibility for regulating your own emotions, and it's something that we're not so much taught as children. And so driving down the street, someone cuts you off, it's their fault that you're angry. Someone says something that is a little bit hurtful, so it's their fault that you're feeling these hurtful feelings. Now, I'm not disregarding the fact that things happen in life and they are painful, but when we tap into our emotions and start to take responsibility for them, then our ability to respond becomes more in alignment with who we truly are and how we want to express ourselves in the world. Our emotions, especially for women, are a superpower. When we can tap into our emotional map, especially through the menstrual cycle, what we come out with is the ability to understand what our emotions feel like in our body and what it means when we are feeling a little bit off balance and how we can respond accordingly. Because what happens is when we are unaware of the impact that our emotions and our cycle plays on our life, we react rather than respond. So when things happen, we go into reaction mode and we take it personally, and then all of a sudden everything that everybody does is a personal attack on us, when that's not the case at all. Everybody is living in their own perception of the world and what's going on. So when we can cultivate our own awareness through our ability to respond accordingly, that's where change happens. Now, the only way that it's possible for us to take responsibility for our emotions in the first place is to first, we don't have control over them. And not control in the sense of you trying to control how you feel about things in life. It's more of a flowing. When we are out of control, we tend to think we're in control, and that's the kind of lie that we tell ourselves when it comes to our emotions. And for women, we've been told for a very long time we're too emotional. Now, when you look at our menstrual cycle as an emotional map, our emotions are actually our superpower, and our emotions have the ability, once we've cultivated that awareness, to guide us to where more healing needs to take place, where more attention to self needs to happen, where things in life are out of alignment. So when we look at our menstrual cycle, here we have a beautiful map that tells us how we will be feeling, not specifically, but every month, once we venture through each phase, there is an underlying current there of how we're going to feel and how we're going to respond and how we're going to want to show up in the world. And once we start to look at that as an emotional map, what happens is that we get to know ourselves on this deeper level that provides us with the skills to understand that in that phase of the cycle, this is how your energy is feeling. This is how I feel in my body. These are the things that feel good. And when we start to feel triggered, we can look at it and go, well, what is that stirring up on the inside? What part of me and part of this energetic phase that I'm in is out of alignment with this particular situation that is going on? And what happens is, after a while of practicing tapping in throughout your cycle, you understand your needs on a deeper level. And once you're attending to your needs on that deep level and consistently, not only are you creating, new neural pathways in the brain, but you're also sending a signal to yourself that you care about your well-being and that you are committed to knowing your emotional responses. And so therefore you start to have this beautiful relationship with the invisible realm that exists within inside you. And you know that if you are in your PMS phase, in your wild woman phase, that if something's coming up and it's angering you, then that needs close attention, and you can go inward and look at what is going on and why are you feeling angry and how can you alchemize that and put it out into the world in a positive manner, because we don't want to go around spitting our anger at every person that we perceive to be doing us wrong, because that creates so much more chaos in the outside world as well as on the inside. No one, feels good when they've had an angry outburst. It not only does it play on our emotional level and our psyche, but our bodies go into shock once we've expressed that amount of anger, that energy flowing through your body. So when we look at the cycles of our menstrual cycle, we can understand how it is that we feel. And when we are planning our life and, organizing business, family, all of those types of things, we can kind of look at our cycle and go, well, I know that when I am bleeding, that I need to be spending time alone, at least for a day or two, so I'm probably not going to want to plan a family trip to see all of the extended family. And if you do, you can take precautions so that okay, we've got a family reunion to go to. There's going to be 100 family members there and you're going to be bleeding at the time. So how can you honor your emotions throughout that part of your cycle but still show up and enjoy the festivities? That's a question that only you can answer. But for me, it would be really making sure that if I'm to go to an event like that I do have time to myself throughout the duration of it, that I get to bed early, that I'm eating really good food, that I'm drinking a lot of water, and that I'm laying off the alcohol, and staying away from family members that trigger me in the sense of you don't want to, when you're taking responsibility for your emotions, you're taking responsibility for your interactions in life. So then you start to look at the ecosystem in which you live in, and that's your energetic ecosystem, because your life and how you interact with your environment and how your environment interacts with you has such an impact on our emotions, because our emotions are energy in motion. So if our environment isn't reflective of our true, and how we truly want to energetically express ourselves, then that creates unbalance between the inner and the outer realm. So if you are planning your life, it's really nice to be able to look at where you are at in your cycle, knowing how you are going to feel and how to tap in at that time, and what you need throughout those phases to ensure that not only you are in optimal emotional health, but you can optimize your output as well into the world when it comes to your creative ventures, when it comes to family, when it comes to showing up for yourself and really taking care of yourself, tapping into these cycles and tapping into this energy, this intimate energy that exists within you, and it goes around and around every month, tapping into that. The relationship that you cultivate with yourself and the awareness that you cultivate with yourself is profound. And once you do the tapping in process, how misalignment feels in your body. So it's not a process of you go and you say you meet with the friend who doesn't necessarily make you feel good, but it's something that you've never really noticed before. So what would happen is you would go and meet the friend, you would leave feeling like shit, but if you're not aware of the energetics that are going on the inside and on the outside, you may take that and own that as your own feeling. So you may go, oh, I feel like shit, and that's because I've done this and I've done that and I've done this, when in actual fact, all it is that you need to take responsibility for your energetic environment and who you are around and how you are not only showing up in the world, showing up in your friendships. And so when we start to do that, the awareness that we cultivate for ourselves, it is triggered through our body. We know what it feels like when we are going to go say, oh, you know, the friend calls and says, do you want to come for coffee? But you get that feeling in your body. Okay, no, I don't need to go. I don't want to go. That's not in alignment with where I'm at and where I want to be. And so cultivating that emotional awareness is really, really important for the way that you navigate your life, how you show up, and the types of people that you have coming in and leaving. So emotional responsibility through the menstrual cycle, I feel, is really important, and it's really effective because your cycle is so individual to you. Women, we cycle, we've got so many similarities. I mean, the way that we cycle is pretty profound in the similarities, and sometimes there's that, that mystical thing that happens where all of your friends sync together. We don't know why that happens, but that's just one of the beautiful magical things about the womb space. So when you are getting to know your own self on this energetic level, then you know yourself in a way that you've never tapped in before, and everything starts to make sense. Why one week you want to do this thing and then the next week you don't want to do this thing, and why one week you want to just be inward and cuddly with a blanket and the next you don't, and what happens after a while when you start to honor your inner realms and you start to tap in to your emotional needs and you take responsibility for the way that your energy is presented in the world, then what happens after a while is that it becomes second nature. And your ability to tap in and honor your intuition and really make a solid connection with that part of you is powerful. All of a sudden, you are divinely guided from your own inner navigation system. Your body becomes your best friend because you learn what it needs through the way that it feels. So the relationship with your energy is a powerful, powerful tool when it comes to showing up in the world. Now, when I talk about the energy that you put out in the world, it's super important, because we want to all be contributing. We've already had enough hate and sadness on this planet for way too long. So by taking responsibility for our emotional inner realm means that we are able to have an output of energy that is loving and kind and respectful to the people that we meet and to the planet. And so who wouldn't want to find that inner navigation system that can flow you through your emotional jungle each month? And the more times you do it, the more familiar you become with that part of you. It does become, it's like you don't even have to think about it, because you just know by the way that you feel in your body. And so the amount of awareness that is cultivated from knowing your energetic map is immeasurable, and it's something that's truly changed my life. My awareness has gone through the roof since I made the commitment to take responsibility for the way that I show up to myself and to the world. It takes practice, yes, but it's practice well spent, because I wasted too many years being angry at the world and blaming everybody else for the way that I felt, when ultimately we are in charge of how we allow situations to affect us. And like I said, there is a huge difference between, something really traumatic happening and having to heal through that and shift through that, and then just everyday life pissing you off. Nobody really wants to be pissed off at everything, but sometimes we just don't know any other way. And so if you do want to know another way, really get to know your inner world, really get to know your menstrual cycle, because then you will understand why you feel so triggered at certain parts in your cycle, and why things, why you have a desire to chase your dreams in the way that you do, and then what may be preventing you from doing that. So yeah, the awareness that is cultivated through cycle connection and energetic and emotional responsibility is profound, and that creates so much peace in your life, and it really harmonizes everything, because all of a sudden, when you're not looking outward to see and blame everything that's going on, and you look inward and ask, what do I need in this moment? How can I nurture myself? What are my emotions telling me? Use your emotions as your superpower. They are your navigation system. We women have, like I said, been told that we're too emotional, but in fact we're not emotional enough, in the sense of we aren't connecting with our emotions enough. When we can use our emotions as like a boat, that sails us down the river, navigating its way through the cycles of life, then all of a sudden we're held in this container that we know so intimately because it's ours, and nobody else gets to dictate how your emotions feel. You're empowered, you're embodied in a way that is so soothing and so just knowing. Your intuition is heightened. The way you show up in your relationships becomes profoundly different, and the way that you not only see the world, but the way that you interact with the world completely changes. So I truly believe that energetic and emotional responsibility through your menstrual cycle is really the way forward for women to be able to reclaim their emotions and use them as a sacred navigating tool in their life to create the change that they really want, and to ground it in as a foundation of who they are, and discovering the truth of who they are, and really becoming that sovereign, independent woman that we all wish to be. Sometimes we're never taught, and so that's why I'm here telling you now, because there is a way that you can feel like you have more say about how you feel and how you show up in the world. You do have the ability within you to know yourself, understand yourself, and ultimately predict yourself, and have yourself lead the way. Your guidance, your own intuition, your own inner knowing, your own guidance that is available to you all the time is literally at your fingertips. But it's breaking down the barriers of the untruths that we've been telling ourselves about ourselves for so long, based on our experiences and what other people and how other people have treated us. What has happened is it builds up a wall where we think this is who we are, and we can't see through it because it doesn't make sense, but we're trapped inside. So by breaking down those untruths and rebuilding it with the truth of who you are, using your cycles because you know yourself on that deeper level, all of a sudden it's like a beautiful scenery. Like you're not looking at a brick wall that doesn't belong to you anymore. You're looking at this energetic force field of truth, and that in itself is a superpower. So thank you for watching. I could really talk about this all day and all night, so I hope you enjoy this short video on cultivating awareness and emotional responsibility through your menstrual cycle. I'm truly blessed to be able to do this work and share it with the world. So if you would like to know anything more about what I do and how you can work with me when it comes to this sacred knowing, let me know. And there'll be plenty of links in the information section. And follow me on Instagram at Nui Louise, Facebook Nui Louise, and join the masterclass. I've got a menstruation masterclass happening at the moment, so if you'd like to join, please do. This is where all the magic happens. This is how it all starts for you, is actually really getting to know yourself on that deeper level. So thank you for watching.